Ladies and gentlemen, welcome on back from that break. We are continuing with some minor league esports action on twitch.tv/MLE Sports. Hi, everybody. It's been a while. I'm Leechy, and I am joined for the first time ever. I feel like a lot of the times that I reappear on this channel, it's like with a first-time partner, and that's exactly how this is going to happen again. It's Shuckle, everybody's favorite CTO. What's up, dude? How are you?
Hello. I'm doing good. I'm really excited to be here. I think this is going to be a really good series. We've got two great teams here, so I'm looking forward to talking about it with you.
Yeah, let's start talking about it. Why not just dive in? It's Foundation League 3, so we're at the bottom of the MLE skill ladder, the lowest rung per se, but one of the highest rungs in my opinion in terms of overall excitement. Shuckle, you and I were talking before we went live about how I thought this was going to be a relatively close match, because if you look on paper at nothing else but the raw standings and the game differential, the Hawks are 11th, they're 8-12, and the Knights are 9th, they're 10-10. And you instantly stepped in and you were like, nah, it's not going to be close. And I was like, really? Do tell.
I pulled the stats. They said it's going to be a great series. What they also said is that if the Knights can keep their defense solid, I think they're going to have a decisive advantage in this series. They have some great offensive players on the field today. Cardinal and the Elitist especially. Great offensive players, just going by the stats. And the Hawks they've got a good all-around team. And so if the Knights keep their defense in check, I think they're going to have a great start. But the Hawks here are trying to prove me wrong right out of the gate.
Yeah, Yen Yen coming across. I was so ready for one of those eat your words caster moments, but it was not going to happen here. Hawks in the light blue, represented by Villain, Achilles, and Nice. Oh, Villain! Ooh. That save right off of the bat, trying to get this series started off with a bang. Achilles and Villain looking for a pinch, and Yen Yen comes in. Can't get that 50 in. And speaking of Yen Yen, is backed by Cardinal and the Elitist, as you mentioned, by the Knights in their alternate colors today, that nice deep grayish black. Love to see it. Shot almost on target. Villain, a great stop by Yen Yen. 1v1, it gets the flick, but not a lot of boost to follow up. Cardinal misses this one as well, and Achilles will clear out to the right side.
Yeah, I think we're seeing a lot of offensive pressure from the Knights, but the Hawks' rotations on defense just keeping them out of the net. We're seeing a lot of shots, but none of them have been able to find home yet.
Not super far there, Achilles. Not quite the correct amount of aim. Contact with the ball. That's fine. There are 5 games left in the series, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, I feel like this is a staple every time I appear on camera. But if you are new to Minor League Esports, this is not a best-of-5 situation. It is a 5-game series. We play all 5 games here in MLE because the #1 stat that is looked at when it comes to playoff qualification is games won. I think strictly it's win percentage, but games won, same thing. So if all teams play the exact amount of games, the exact same amount of games, then is nice and tell who where. Just about 2 minutes gone, and it is still a 0-0 scoreline between the Hawks and the Knights.
I think we're starting to see a couple of cracks in the Knights. There seem to be some communication issues, and they're proving me wrong again. Great shot there by Yen Yen, shuffling it in.
Cracks in the Knights, and then all of a sudden the Knights fill that crack in and slip it in the crack between Nice and that right side post. Beautifully done, right on the mark. Actually kind of cutting me off in that was the exact mark where we hit the 2 minutes. That in? No, not quite. Villain will slam this all the way down and allow the Knights rather to build from the back.
Absolutely. I think that we're also seeing a lot of control from both teams in this. Foundation League sometimes can turn into just a game of volleyball, throwing it back and forth, but we're starting to see a lot of ground plays. They're playing it slow, they're taking control, and I think that's a good sign.
Foundation League volleyball. It's going to be the next move for the Olympics, the esports mission. Oh, slow shot there by Nice down into the ground. That one popped out mid. Achilles has an opportunity to follow up. Still keeps it dangerous. Nice misses to the right, and Villain is going to be the third man trying to back this one up. Yen Yen knocks this down, and nobody is there to collect on the counterattack. So Achilles demoed for his troubles, but does get it not quite fully away as the Elitist tries. Makes something of this one and winds up having to rotate out the Hawks' turn, hopefully to make something happen, as long as they can deal with Cardinal here in the corner.
Elitist, this is some fast action. They're really playing it in the corner, and again, we're seeing great defensive rotation from the Hawks here, just able to keep that shot after shot from the Knights out of the net, and hoping they can capitalize on one of these counteroffensives they're getting.
Nice off that side wall. That's a great shot. Yen doesn't calculate it properly. That is the equalizing goal. Just over 90 seconds left. It's 1-1.
Yeah, really seeing the Hawks are taking that return back. The Knights might be overcommitting a little bit on offense, and on that back rotation, they got to tighten it up a little bit.
Villain and Cardinal facing off. Pretty dead kickoff there. Nice out to the right. Right, the Knights left. Nice and Villain. Oh, arguing over who goes for that one. Almost getting punished. Villain will knock that just outside of that post. Villain still maintaining control, but not for too long. Nice now, the elitist. Neither team getting too much control. It's just like you said. That one is open. Elitist will take that out to the right. It's just like you were saying, Shuckle. It's a very kind of back and forth ping pong / volleyball style. I feel like easier said than done, obviously, but the team that gains a little bit more control over the ball might start to take a more dominant position as the series goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing in FL is just good ground control. You know, if you can take the ball that's flying from the other team that banged it at you and catch it and, you know, effectively get it across the field, then that's going to work for you like 80-90% of the time.
Low play. Kind of worked out, though. Auto boost. 30 seconds. That is a banger downfield. Shame it wasn't on target, but still dangerous there as Elitist misses the clearance. This one's out to the right, and he should slam this one. Oh, doesn't make contact. That's fine. Exactly what teammates are for as he rotates all the way back to the back post. Achilles, interesting face-off there with Yen at the near post. Interesting touch as well. A little bit of a turbo flick there by Yen. This one is up super high. He's deciding to bail out. Doesn't have a ton of boost. Final couple seconds here where the ball hits the ground, and we definitely do go to overtime in game one. Shuckle, we could be in for a marathon of a series.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that you know, I'm gonna eat my words here a little bit. This is a really close match. But I will say, I think that we are seeing that great offensive pressure from the Knights, and the Hawks defense are just able to keep up with it. I think that, like, in threes, too, something we need to see more of is passing plays. I see a lot of solo plays happening in this match, and as you get more and more players on the field, being able to pass is just going to be more and more important. Those solo plays might work in twos, but not so much here.
Yeah, you definitely don't get as much time on the ball, and especially in Foundation League, that's something that you really kind of need to calculate and consider. In Foundation League, you often get a player that might be really good at one mechanic, just like Yen makes this one work. Really good at putting it past a single defender. Only 47-ish seconds of overtime is what takes the Knights to put this final goal past the Hawks. That'll give game one to the players in gray.
Absolutely, yeah. I think great showing from both teams there. Yeah, I think going into game two, what do you think they can improve on, Ichi? What are your notes?
My notes are that I think Achilles needs to step up just a little bit in terms of overall contribution. If you do the cheat sheet route of looking at the numbers here, Achilles not even above 200 points, which, yes, points are not everything, but they are at least a decent indication of how much contribution he had to the overall play. Achilles is on the board with a single shot, whereas his teammates Nice and Villain, multiple saves, multiple shots, and one goal even from Nice. So I think if the Hawks are going to work on one thing, I want to see Achilles start to get involved just a little bit more, because you can see on the flip side of the scoreboard, Knights, everybody has multiple numbers in most, if not all, columns. So I think that's definitely what was able for the Knights to be able to put this game past the Hawks, is that everybody was contributing as much as they possibly could.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that, you know, if we're continuing to look at the kind of cheat stats, you know, Achilles is the 9 salary here on the Hawks, with Villain is a 7.5 and Nice is a 5. You know, so I'd love to see more from him here, but I think the Hawks, if they can tighten up their defensive rotation a little bit and really punish the Knights when they overcommit, I think they can take this game.
Let us see. The destination for game number 2 is none other than Neo Tokyo. Also another 5 minutes up on the clock. Which team gets the better of their opponents? Achilles very, very high, taking my words to heart. Early contribution there on the attack. Yen Yen 1v1 gets a decent 50. Elitist knocks it back over to Yen Yen, struggling, controlling that ball in that Golf GTI. Octane hitbox, so nice and tall, but, you know, always a tricky thing. Always a tricky thing. 30 seconds gone.
Well, good shot from the Hawks there. It's going to be off. On the GTI, it's surprising a little bit for me to see that. I, personal opinion, thought it was one of the weaker cars to come out of the Rocket Pass recently.
You're not a fan of old tuner culture?
I am.
Not your
just
vibe.
I am. Just, you know, the hitbox and the model, they didn't line up super great. But let's see, we have the Knights here putting that pressure on, and the Hawks leaving that ball there to sit a little bit. But this could be an opportunity for him. Bringing it downfield, and look at that.
Pass.
I think that was the perfect play for what they need to do in FL to succeed. You know, we have the ground control and the nice punishing counterattack with a pass to get that velocity up. We get a banger of a shot.
That was so good. That was exactly what you were talking about. Passing plays, and not only was it a passing play, but it was one of those passing plays that starts as a counterattack. So your opponents are already on the back foot, struggling to get themselves situated. That was absolutely beautiful for the Hawks. I don't know how many more opportunities like that they're going to get, but if they can deal with them time and time again, just like they did there, things are going to look good for them.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, that was an opportunity, and they did not waste it. And, ooh, another one. Just getting just barely over the defender there.
How did this happen? Okay, misclearance off the sidewall. Villain knocks this up, and Elitist just not quite getting up fast enough and kisses the inside of that right-hand post. And just like that, the Hawks have doubled their lead, not going down without a fight. I don't mean to sound dramatic. It is, of course, only game 2. Achilles, are you kidding me? Double tap. It turns into more of a pass than a shot, but still impressive.
Yeah, he's definitely decided to show up a little bit more this game. You know, and we still have plenty of time left, so I would love to see this game get a little bit closer, get another overtime, get the drama flowing.
We're high up the sidewall. Contact, no big deal. Yen Yen. Corner. Villain feeds it right to the nose of Elitist. Thankfully, Nice was there. Clearance out to the left, and that is a very dangerous pass if anyone could get on the end of it, but Achilles forced to bide his time because you can't really tell when the defenders are going to make the tusk, and all of that pressure kind of peters out into nothing.
Yeah, and I think that what we're seeing here a little bit is I think the Knights defense is, they're keeping up for now, but they're starting to show a couple of cracks that the Hawks are really taking advantage of.
Oh, double tap, just the wrong direction there from Villain. Still keeping it dangerous, though, forcing that ball to stay in the Knights' half of the commit. Play knockdown for Achilles. Opportunity to make something happen. That's off the back wall. Elitist will let this go. That one's almost over the top of Cardinal. It's a save, but they're not out of danger just yet. Achilles knocks a relatively mundane ball down. Villain will see this into his own corner.
Yeah, I think something we're seeing from the Hawks this game as well is their midfield just control of possession, and what a great shot from the Elitist here.
How did this one happen? Villain fed it his way, and Nice just could not turn around in time. Unfortunate. No big deal. Minute 49 left on the clock. Actually, you know what? Maybe it's no big deal for the Hawks. I think for the, or I'm sorry, maybe it's no big deal for the Knights, rather. I think the Hawks are sweating a little bit because they went, ooh, that was close.
What a
Great
great
save from
shot.
Cardinal. They went from a 2-goal lead now all of a sudden to the Knights having a little bit more of the momentum on their side. The Knights have over 90 seconds to equalize here. Let's see if they can shore up the defense.
Absolutely. Yeah, 1-goal lead is much scarier than a 2, I think. Because there's many times with the Hawks really trying to pick up that 2-goal lead again, make them feel a little safer with a great shot here.
Look at that. Off that sidewall, Elitist. Not the greatest clearance. No big deal. Handing that one out to the Hawks, and Nice not missing that one. Slamming that across to that left-hand side. 2-goal lead restored just under that 90-second mark remaining. And Hawks all of a sudden are looking nice and healthy again, looking like they will take game number 2. Let's see how much longer they can last here.
Absolutely. I would love to see the possession like stats for this game, because I think we're seeing the Hawks are just keeping the ball. They're not throwing it away as quickly. And like the Knights, they're starting to keep control. Yen especially is doing a great job of controlling the ball. I just think we need to see a little bit more of that, and they can bring it back.
Cardinal coming in. 50. Headed to Yen. They get off the side wall looking for something here, but we'll beat him to it. That's a shot by Elitist. It's slow, but it's dangerous. Achilles can't clear it confidently. Yen, the follow-up, it's just out to the left. It's still dangerous. Oh, my Lord. Pandemonium on the back line, but the Hawks eventually will see this one clear. Take a deep breath. That one was very close for the Knights.
And what a save there from Villain. You know, that could have been the game-winning save.
Out here from Achilles.
Getting a little
Over
excited.
Elitist. Cardinal. Get back into Achilles. And Yen off of that corner wall. It is banked, so it will get where he needed it to go eventually after the rebound. Nice is that one in.
There's another one.
And he gets that. We're gonna boost the sprocket rating just a little bit there right at the end.
Absolutely. I think that we can call this game pretty securely with 3 goals up and 1 second. But yeah, on the topic of the Sprocket, we have a merch store now. We got hats and t-shirts and hoodies. You can check it out. Use !Sprocket in the chat. All the proceeds go to kind of helping us keep things online and keep pushing the platform to make MLE and soon other organizations, we hope, the best they can be.
100%. Like he said, !Sprocket in the chat, ladies and gentlemen. I can speak to the quality of their shirts. Super. It's not those like garbage, merch store 100% cotton shirt. Extremely soft. I love it. Big vouch from Lee. Shot total, dear Lord, from the Hawks. What is that? 8, 10 shots to the Knights 5, and you can also only saves for the Hawks versus 6 for the Knights. So it is a double mirror image. I don't know what you want to call that, but the Hawks very much the team that was heavy on offense here in game 2, pinning the Knights back in their own half. What a complete flip of momentum.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think the Hawks, again, like we saw that passing play, and I think that embodied their gameplay. They had really good midfield control of the ball. They weren't letting it get into their half as much, and they were just pushing it down the Knights half as quickly as they could every time. I think, if we can get some stronger defensive rotations from the Knights and making sure that they communicate, then I think they can clean that up. I think they've still got a chance in game 3. This is, like you said at the beginning, a really close series.
Sovereign Heights for game 3. Dylan and Elitist fighting it out in the corner. Somebody getting boxed out there. Brutal. Achilles now on a breakaway. Has Yen to beat. That one, the double tap off that near side back wall. Really difficult to read at any skill level, let alone Foundation League. Nice knocking it down. That is a good stall of momentum and actually might be able to turn this one around. Has Cardinal on the back foot. But Cardinal, deft touch over the oncoming attacker to get it away from danger for the time being.
Yeah, Cardinal with a great clear there. He had to die for that one. Coming back with the Hawks again with that offensive pressure that we saw last game. They just will not stop.
That's why those calculated rotations, holy Tito, what a pinch. That's why those calculated rotations and good communication is so important in threes, because it's a very busy pitch in general. Oh, the flick for Cardinal. Are you kidding me? Look at
Beautiful.
this. Look at this. He went to clear it and he slammed immediately right back into the attacker. What was this? Villain. Oh my God, dude.
You know what I think that
luck
was? For everybody watching at home, in the chat, if you want to submit that for play of the week, you can use !POTW. I think that's a pretty strong contender.
Oh my God, I can't believe I just that was ridiculous. Like, what do? As a Hawks player, you're like, all right, well, I guess it's just not my day. Well, dust myself off and tried again. Achilles, are you kidding me? That was on target. It was slow, but it was on target. Still keeping it dangerous. Nice.
Great touch.
Got
Great
underneath.
save.
Can't make this one work. Dear Lord, things have really spiced up just a little bit in the first 90 seconds of game 3.
Absolutely. Yeah, the Knights are not going to take game 2 lying down, it looks like. And I think that the Hawks are still keeping that good midfield control. They have a lot of the offensive pressure for this game. But the Knights defense really shored themselves up, and we're seeing a really good showing from them this round.
Gave out to the left by Cardinal. Taking his time. The high, off the crossbar. In fact, Achilles with the follow-up, and Villain getting crossed up, knocked opposite direction. But doesn't matter. Gets good eventually. Achilles, looking for that infield pass that we were talking about earlier on. It just unfortunately found an opponent versus a teammate. Knees picking up a ton of boost. Will chase this into the corner and gets his pockets picked almost immediately.
Yeah, when I was in FL, I was always told, if you want to improve, play faster. So I think that the secret is just use as much boost as you can.
It could be, yeah. To the detriment of the environment. Have we ever done an environmental study to figure out if boost is an ozone killer?
There was one. Ooh. What a shot by the elitist here.
I'm busy on my stupid joke, and this ridiculous shot here. You're really committing to the play. I really, really love it when people don't bail, because it's situations like that that you can create something out of nothing. You feel like the play was done. And if you just throw yourself in front of the ball, sometimes good things happen.
Absolutely, and I think that we've seen both of the Knights' goals here. They showed up and they had 2 Batmobiles. It's like that's an unusual car that you don't see too much, but they're really putting those hitboxes to work, because both of those were just shoved over defenders using just the absolute size of the hitbox. And Achilles here, a very near miss.
And pull past Knees, nice. Oh wait,
could that be the passing play?
Pass so very close. Knees committing. There we go. It's back in, and the Hawks are back within 1. That was some chaos there.
That was good communication, because Nice leaving a little bit, but not so quickly that he couldn't pick that back up. And the Hawks are really just putting the whole team to work in that play.
98 seconds. Game number 3. It's a tied series, 1-1. And I will say, kind of leaning towards my prediction of it being close before you stepped on all over me with your numbers and your logic.
Well, the numbers don't lie, but you can also make the numbers say whatever you want to. So
that's also really what I'm hearing is you can't really count on numbers for anything.
Well, no, you can only count on numbers.
Yeah. Okay, all right. I walked into that one. Fine. Whatever. Minute left. Oh, excellent stop there by Elitist. Does he have enough boost to get there? Not quite, but neither does Villain nor Yen. Off the sidewall, and Cardinal can't come in for the shot. That one gets cleared away.
Yeah, we're seeing the Knights kind of fail to capitalize on some opportunities. We had a Hawks double commit there, and they just couldn't get up fast enough. Playing it slow in the corner.
Yeah,
good clear.
Very, very high off the ceiling. In fact, beats Villain. Wrong direction though. Great demo by the Hawks. Back the other way, yet again, more of that ping-pong South American style gameplay. Villain. Great catch. Whether it was calculated or not, it was a great catch. Final 15 seconds now. Achilles. Great speed. Past 2. Can't get the third one, but punishes him at the very least. Villain out high. That halfway mark and hesitates just a little bit. Nice needs to keep this up. And does not manage to do so. It has been flipping back and forth all night long. Knights take game number 3.
Absolutely, but that was a very close game, and we're seeing if we look at the shots again, that's much closer than it was last game, and I think it's still anybody's series.
Funnily enough, the Hawks had a little bit more offense there. Not by much, not by, it was a measurable amount, but it meant almost nothing. Yeah, I don't know. I think that was it was a much more cagey affair, I think, but not much in it here, and I think is a sign, yet again, to how close of a series this was destined to be from the outset. So I'm kind of expecting Hawks, with the way things have been going, kind of expecting Hawks to take game 4 and then we go to a decisive game 5, or the Knights stomp them 2 games in a row. Who I have learned, or rather, I learned very early on not to make really, really strong predictions, because those are the exact times that you get completely trounced.
Absolutely. I think that we're going to see, there was a lot of like, you know, kind of wrestling in the corners of that game. And I think the team that's able to break out of that, and again, like get back to those passing plays like we saw from the Hawks earlier in the series, I think they're going to be the ones that take this game.
The Utopia Dusk, or Lychee's favorite arena, stadium, build pitch, I call it. Knocked down, very sharp. Not sharp enough by Elitis, who clears it off the backboard Cardinal. Needs to take his time, and Achilles not getting the demo, but did remove possession from the opponent at the very least, killing it in the corner, and Nice will see this clear.
A great drive here from the Hawks. I think that their midfield control is doing an excellent job at keeping the offensive pressure on, and just not letting the Knights do their thing on offense that, you know, we saw previously and that the stats were showing.
That's dangerous. Gets cleared out by Nice. Will take a second to kind of collect himself, but that's fine because Villain has given him more than a second of this kind of clearance and this rush upfield. Although that said, they just beat 2 people with 1 flick of the car. That one knocked over high, but nobody to capitalize. And a great attempt here that was created by Achilles goes untaken advantage of.
Uncapitalized?
Thank you.
There we go.
That's actually, you know what? I'll give that a C. I think mine was a D, but that was better, but not much.
You're impossible to please.
Yeah.
Again, the Knights
First time
defense
I've heard
showing up. So we've got some of that slow play. Off to the right, a good shot by Villain there.
Ace of Elitist. To try and control, but Yenin will steal it away from him. That is a dangerous floater. Can Nice get up in time and read it? He can. Wow, that was close, right off of the crossbar, but does what he needs to do. As dangerous as it may have seemed, Cheese would have pinched from Achilles, and that all of a sudden is dangerous. If the Hawks can come and get this knocked away, they couldn't quite, which is why the Knights are able to keep this extended amount of pressure. Elitis will stop that ball from crossing far over that midfield point. Villain can't beat Yen Yen at that mark as well. We're about at the halfway mark, and it is still 0-0 between these 2 teams. I feel like the deeper we go in the series, the closer the gameplay gets.
Yeah, I think that they're really figuring each other out. I mean, we're seeing more attempts at control from both teams, and more effective ways to circumvent that. I mean, we saw that earlier. Yen Yen got a great save, and then the Hawks just took it, or he got a great catch, and the Hawks just took it away from him. Could see a pass.
Oh, that pass. Dude, that kind of a pass, that's the kind of pass that causes the other team to own goal, because it's coming across the goal so quickly that they panic and they need to figure out some kind of a touch. And didn't happen that time, but mark my words, it will happen before.
It is, yes. Definitely dangerous when we have the Knights breaking out here after a pretty strong Hawks push there. And again, we're definitely seeing a lot less of the wrestling in the corners this game, but we're seeing kind of a return to the ping pong a bit.
Honestly, I'm okay with that because it means better spacing. Double commit by the Hawks, but no big deal because somebody made contact. It means better spacing, and better spacing means, I would say, generally less chance of a double commit, less chance of any kind of a positioning mistake in general being made, because we're likely that everybody's capable of seeing where their teammates are on the pitch.
Oh, absolutely. It's much easier to rotate on the entire pitch than it is to rotate in one corner. And I definitely think that's something else we've seen since the series started, is both teams have really tightened up their rotations.
Probably a sign of just constantly playing and, you know, getting more warm and the task at hand. They
Absolutely.
Corner, and Nice will slam this one out. Final 35 seconds. Could we be headed to a scoreless overtime? That one threatened that prediction very slightly. When it drops down, it's the Hawks on attack. Can't get that one goalward. Villain looking for a bump. I love the aggression. Nice with the shot on target, but that goal was stacked with Knights defenders. No way they're making it past that.
I think the Hawks are embracing the, if you can't remove the ball from the player, remove the player from the ball. Oh, and that could be
that's
it.
not in. Oh, that's so close. They need to avoid the panic. Knocked high. Okay, Knights got away with that one. The Hawks will definitely feel robbed as we head into this game 4 overtime. Great dunk by Billing. Could this be over? Can't get the second touch. The Hawks will have to try again.
Close. I think the Knights are definitely starting to, again, prove me wrong. They're really fond of that this series. They've shown up with some really strong defense because, you know, the Hawks have not been playing around with some of their mechanics.
Let this roll all the way into the corner. Tries to stay behind it. Can't quite. That's on target. Needs to get across there and does, thankfully. The
Great
pie.
save.
Achilles will stop that from rolling in front of the frame of the goal. Underrated abilities. If you don't let the ball get in front of the goal in the first place, then there's nothing to save. Showing how important of an ability that is.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, shout out for Nice. Nice is coming into this series as a 5 salary, and I think that he is more than pulling his weight, just with a lot of the defense he's been playing.
Yeah, a lot of I saw in chat somebody was talking about it, how FL can be like the biggest skill gap, but man, with Nice at a 5 salary, I never ever would have assumed that based on what the gameplay that we've seen so far. He's playing absolutely lights out. Villain, risky pass on target and gets in the way of Achilles. Unfortunate miscommunication there. Let's see if Achilles can keep it dangerous. No, we'll actually fire this one courtesy of a pinch all the way back towards his goal. Nice is there, right place, right time. Can't get a pass, Nice.
Yeah, we're definitely... The Knights here are doing a really good job of not panicking.
Oh, and
another
the second
close
you say
miss.
that, I cannot believe that did not go. That is the second time that the Hawks, I feel like, are going to feel this robbed. They're a single goal away from taking this to a decisive Game 5, and you can see it with the pressure that they're putting on. Achilles comes in for the shot. A great save. Elitist meeting him at the point of contact. Just about half a game of Rocket League we have seen in this overtime alone. Will this end anytime soon?
I don't know, the way things are going, you know, we might be in for the long haul here. The Elitists here trying to prove me wrong with a banger downfield, releasing some of that pressure that the Hawks were putting on the Knights. Question is, can they keep up the pressure on the Hawks?
Dollar question. Come down, handing it off to Nice. Having to... Well, back of boot. Villain. Okay, that one's dangerous. Elitist does get in the way, but leads to a shot opportunity for Achilles. Misses it just to the right. Nice can maybe keep pressure on this one. Will, in fact, hand the pressure duties off to Achilles. Looks for that 50 into the goal, but can't get it past. The Elitist really, really standing tall on defense. 5 saves for Yen Yen, in fact. Elitist, that was his one save all game, but I feel like he's been doing really, really well in these kind of like defensive midfield stops. Unfortunate that those do not show up on the scoreboard.
Absolutely. I think that, you know, in FL, like we've been saying, the possession and just the strong, solid rotations. Could this be it? And the Hawks take game 3. Game 4? Game 4.
Game 4. Game 4 indeed. Look at that. Banger. Absolute banger. 348. And the Hawks finally put that one past the Knights, not for lack of trying. Let us look at the numbers as they pop up. 5 shots for the Knights. 5 for the Knights in total. 17 for the Hawks. What in the world was that offensive pressure? Look at the save total as well. 10 for the Knights. They were absolutely battered during this series. It is a miracle that during this game rather, it is a miracle that it was only a 1-0 scoreline.
Absolutely. I think that Achilles really took your advice to heart and decided to really show up this game. We saw him driving a lot of the Hawks offense, just quickly taking the balls out of the net or out of their half and just, returning them to the sender, taking them back to the Knights. And, the Knights are exceeding expectations here with their defense, but, they really need to get on their offensive pressure. I think they're rotating really well on defense. And as soon as they can rotate up with the ball when they get those great clears, then they can really flip the script and put that pressure back on the Hawks.
Yeah, and the script very much needs to be flipped because even though that was just a 1-0 game, the momentum was firmly on the Hawks side. So let's see if they're able to rebound here. Game 5. This one is for all the marbles. Easy for me to say. Like we said, this is not a best-of-5 situation, but in this very specific case where it is 2-2 in the series, it very much all does come down to game number 5. Now, it's not like each team's 2 game wins get erased. That still goes in their win column, but always feels nice to be able to say that you did mathematically take the series victory.
Absolutely. And I think no matter which way this game goes, a great showing from both teams and a great series to have on stream here. There's a lot to talk about.
Off to the left. Oh, wow.
A double demo. Let's see if they can capitalize.
Cardinal missing this one. I think he was the final one on the field. That one's up high. Villain a little bit too close underneath the ball. Unfortunate, but no Knights players making a meaningful touch on this one. Cardinal knocks it high, but just tees it up for Nice. That one's a pass from Achilles, and Villain needs to wait a little bit because that would have been a hefty overcommit had he gone for that one. Needs to wait for this one to come down for making any sort of offensive touch here.
Absolutely. Yeah, that was a great choice because overcommitting in FL is, or I guess in any league, overcommitting can really seal your fate if you can't rotate quick enough to recover from it. But again, the Knights kind of putting the offensive pressure back onto the Hawks, and what a shot from the Elitist.
3:22 on the clock. That one popped up super high, and Villain either didn't have enough boost in the tank to fix it or just had too much reverse momentum to be able to fix that one. Either way, that is goal number 1 for the Knights. Could this be number 2? No, Villain will knock this one across. Save this one, if only for the time being. Nice was there waiting for that infield pass, but Cardinal stops it before it gets a chance to become dangerous.
Absolutely. I'm getting the feeling the Knights have decided that they want this series. And they figured the Hawks out enough that they feel they can keep that pressure going. But as I say that, proven wrong again. I'm starting to understand the caster's curse, I think.
Yeah, welcome. It's not a great feeling. I've been dealing with it for years. Achilles facing off against Cardinal, but Cardinal will handily beat him to the ball there. Villain charging this one. That gets knocked up and around the face of Yen Yen and bumped off of that too. But wow, what a pass from Elitist. That bounce shot doesn't quite beat Villain on the goal line, and Yen Yen can't get a pass back out to a teammate. That was almost super dangerous for the Knights.
Well, I think that, credit where credit's due, that was super dangerous and a great save from Villain. The Hawks returning it here. Achilles looking to take control again. And Cardinal said no thank you.
Oh. He beaten. Wow, that's dangerous. Someone needs to be there. Nobody is. So it bounces across harmlessly. It was scary, but it was harmless at the end of the day. Nice. Mid. a decent pass if somebody was there. Achilles. Orthodox pass, interesting. And honestly, I don't blame Nice for not committing there because I don't necessarily think I would have trusted that either.
Absolutely. I think the Hawks are running out of time, though. They need to drive one of these home.
Up super high. Can the Hawks get there? Cardinal, awkward backboard defense, loses track of the ball. Villain is mid-retreat, will have to come around. Can't beat Cardinal to it. Ball is still right in front of the Knights' goal. Can Achilles get there? Yen, everybody kind of stacking the goal line for the Knights, and they will get this one away. Breathe a sigh of relief for now. The Knights still do have the lead, but man, the Hawks are knocking at the door.
Absolutely. We're definitely starting to see more passes, but I think the Hawks need to be a little careful. The Knights are figuring out those counteroffensives, so they need to mind they don't overcommit, because that could be the series for them. But we've got the... No, I lied. Nice bringing it back to the Knights.
Oh, Achilles. No, Achilles took it away, and it's wide from the elitist. That could have been series, game and series done and dusted, but right now there is still a chance. Final 20 seconds for the Hawks. They need to build something, and they need to do it now. 15 as elitist just needs to slam this, keep it in the Hawks half. Dylan can't get it past Cardinal. Nice will, and will rely on Achilles. That one's not on target, but dangerous if he can turn around. Difficult, tight quarters, and it will touch the ground. The Knights will take game number 5. What a close-fought series. That was everything that I hoped it would be.
That was a great series, yeah. I think we saw, things petered back and forth as they were trying out different things, and, at the end there, the Knights just really relied on keeping that offensive pressure that they're really good at and not letting the Hawks break out of that and bring it back to them. But it's always good to see a nice 3-2, a great showing from both teams, and a fun series to talk about.
3-2 indeed. Super back and forth. It's interesting whenever you get into those series where it's very clear that neither team has control, but not in a bad way, in an entertaining way, we'll say, because it was the Knights initially, and that we went to OT to get the first one. The second game was like, what, a 4-1 blowout or something from the Hawks? It was all over the place. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly why I always say that Foundation League is so high up the ladder in terms of excitement, because regardless of what the numbers say, it's Foundation League. People are, people are a little bit rougher around the edges at this skill level, and that means you can't always count on what the numbers may or may not be telling you. You need to witness the play on the field. And it can completely change, or rather completely subvert your expectations. That is why Foundation League is as exciting as it is.
Absolutely. And Foundation League is, it feels like more of a team game. You can have mechanics, but you really got to communicate with your team. You got to rotate well. I think both teams did a good job of that. The Knights just really pulled it through there at the end after getting battered by the Hawks for 2 games.
To both of these teams, that is the Knights taking the series against the Hawks 3-2 in an extremely hard-fought victory. Ladies and gentlemen, that does it for me, but you will be seeing more of Shuckle, this dude over here. We move from the Foundation League up 1 rung in the skill ladder to the Academy League on the other side of this break. It is the Elite going up against the Shadow. Don't go anywhere. You are not going to want to miss it.